Hey there, I'm Amy from thecrazycraftlady.com. Welcome back for week 2 of my 25 crafts until Christmas countdown. I'm not going to try to say that 10 times fast. 25 crafts till Christmas. We are on week 2, so I'm going to be sharing one Christmas craft every Tuesday, every week from now until Christmas time. So last week on week 1, I made this little joy sign that you see behind me. It's a reverse canvas shiplap thing going on. And today we're going to do something a little different, and we're going to use an unconventional craft supply from the Dollar Tree, and that is a mop cover. So this is a microfiber duster slash mop pad. They come in the cleaning aisle. I've used these before in crafts, and I've also used like the regular yarn type mop head attachments. I'll link to some of those in the video description down below, but today we're going to turn 2 of these, along with a few other craft supplies, into a fun little Christmas slash winter wreath. I really like making more like evergreen type winter crafts because then you get so much more use out of them. You don't have to take them down after Christmas. You can keep them up, through January and February. And it's like, if you're going to go through the effort of making your own Christmas crafts and your own Christmas decor, you might as well get as much use out of them as you can, right? So without further ado, let's get making. Alright, so a lot of Dollar Tree supplies here. So we've got, for the wreath itself, you need 2 of these fuzzy microfiber duster mop pads. I've used these before on like Valentine heart wreaths. They're super fun to work with. And then we're going to do a mini wreath, so an 8-inch wreath form. And then to decorate it, I have some lamb's ear left over from a different project. Use whatever greenery you got. And then craft sticks from the Dollar Tree. You need 4, something to cut them with, paintbrushes, paint, stain, tape, the usual suspects. So we're going to start, slide all this out of the way, and we are going to cover our little wreath form with these microfiber mop heads. So we're just going to cut the tags off and hot glue. So I have learned from previous projects that when you cut these mop heads, so say you had like a different size wreath and you need like part of one, they shed very badly. So I will try in the future when I use these to use like a full size. And so that's part of the reason why I'm using this mini wreath, is because I can cover it with exactly, hopefully, 2 mop heads. So all you gotta do is flip this wreath over and hot glue the living daylights out of this fabric to get it to stick together. So I'm just going to do that really quickly, and you just kind of take it and then fold it over. Go. And then, so kind of like glue it in the middle and then on each end. And yeah, you're probably going to use 2, maybe 3 glue sticks on this project. So a fair amount of hot glue. But then I'm just going to add the other one, and then we're going to go ahead and decorate. Alright, so now I have my little wreath and it's all covered, and I've got a bit of a seam down here. Like, this seam blended a lot better than this one. I feel like this one has a little bit more of a gap. So I've got this lamb's ear left over from a different project, so that's going to end up getting like hot glued, give or take, kind of like that. So then we want something that's going to kind of go in the middle there, and for that we're going to make a little church. And I got this idea from the blogger at the Shabby Tree, so I will link to this. She made like a little church ornament. If you're not super religious, don't worry. Like, if you don't want to do a church, you can do like a gingerbread house too. I will show you that option after I make this. So I've got 4 wooden craft sticks, and I've got my little angle shears here. You can also just use like heavy duty scissors, but I like the precise cuts of this. So 2 of these, no, all 4 of them, we're gonna cut the top off at a 45-degree angle and watch those popsicle sticks go flying. All right, there you go. So those tops are just trash, and then we're gonna assemble our shirt. So you can kind of play around with like what spacing you like, but you know, you make a little steeple up top, sides down a little bit lower, and then use like painter's tape or masking tape or something to try to make like a straight line. Decide like how tall you want your little church to be and make a straight line across the bottom, and then trace over the edge of the tape with a pencil, just so you know where to make your cuts, because you want like a clean, straight edge at the bottom of the church. So then adjust this back to 90 degrees, and we're just going to trim right on those lines. Then you just want to line this up best of your ability, so that the bottom is fairly straight. And then take one of your little reject pieces and hot glue it and lay it across the back. And this way all your pieces will stick together. There. And then this guy is going to be your door. So you have to decide, okay, that's a little tall for a door. We'll trim it down just a little bit. That's more like. And then I'm just going to protect my work surface with a piece of parchment paper, and I've got this Deco Art, Folk Art Home Decor wax. It's like antique wax. Kind of the same result as staining, and I'm just going to stain this whole thing, including the door. And then I'm going to let this sit for, I don't know, 30 minutes and completely dry before we go on to painting. Okay, so my wood stain is completely dry, and now I want to paint. So I'm going to try to zoom in here for you guys, because this is like really fine detail work. So I've got some like fine point paint brushes, and then I'm using Deco Art Americana acrylic craft paint in warm white and avocado. These 2 colors, so I'm using white, and then I'm going to try to make some light green because I want it to match kind of the lamb's ear. So I'm going to mix up some light green, and then we'll get painting here. All right, good deal. So first things first is I'm going to make a white wreath on the top of like the steeple. That's going to kind of match the white wreath that we're making. And so I'm just dipping the end, so the non-brush end of the small paintbrush into white paint, and I'm just kind of dab and make little dots. So I'm going to start by like making 4 dots, right? Because that kind of will make a good outline for my wreath, and then I'm going to fill it in. And you can actually like make several dots before like refilling, because it kind of makes a cool look, because then you have dots of all different sizes on your wreath, and I think that kind of gives it just a little bit more visual interest. But you do you, whatever floats your boat. And I'm doing this first because these dots are little puddles of paint and therefore are going to take a little bit longer to dry. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. You never know when to stop. I should have stopped. I should have stopped while I was ahead. Well, that's fine. Okay. Once we put a bow on it, it'll look like a wreath. It'll all be good. Okay, and then I need to distress my door. So I'm going to do this very carefully. A little bit of white paint, and I'm going to brush it off in like an empty one of these guys. And so I'm working with a fairly, dry brush. I just want to distress a little bit, and I'm just going to make a couple passes. Nothing crazy. I just want the door to stand out. You could paint it solid white, you could paint it green, whatever you want. And then I'm going to use that same end and dip it in my white green, or my light green, and make a doorknob. Second to last thing is painting all the trim, and then we'll paint a bow and we'll get out of here. So I am going to, you don't have to do this, I just feeling extra today. So I'm going to paint trim around the edge of the door and around the edge of the church with green, and then with white at the top, so it looks like there's like snow on the roof. So I'm going to speed this up because I don't need to talk about that while I'm doing it. There we go. And then the last final detail is going to be, I'm going to paint a bow at the base of this wreath. So just like a figure 8 and 2 little tails coming up. But that's it. So that's my little church. Super neutral, white and green. Okay, so this is like one of my test subjects that I did earlier, and I decided it looked more like a gingerbread house than a church, so I discarded it. And so ignore this. I was testing if I want to do a white wreath or a green wreath. So if you don't want to do anything like churchy, you could still do like the 4 across and just not have these staggered so it doesn't look like a steeple. You could do something smaller. This looks like a gingerbread house. It's the same thing. You can do whatever you want. If you're doing like this wreath on a much larger scale, if you wanted to do like a full-size wreath for a door, not like an 8-inch mini wreath, I would maybe make a handful of these in different sizes, different heights, and it would look like a little like village. I think that'd be really cute. Now I'm getting ideas for other projects. This is how I go down a rabbit hole crafting. Okay. And then finally, I'm just going to hot glue everything together onto my wreath. But there I have the cute little fuzzy white winter wreath, perfect for decorating not only for Christmas, but throughout the winter, which makes me extra happy because you can enjoy your crafts that much longer. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Until next time, happy making!